Welcome to the Kilo Delta 7 Victor Zulu Whiskey Shack Tour. Right now we're in my backyard where we're going to start the tour. And this is my backyard. This is my new cat. Unintended consequences of COVID-19. She's a foster cat that got locked down when I got locked down. But let's go take a look to start the tour at my antenna. I put this in last September. I had recommendation from another ham, and at the Hamvention in 2019, I talked to DX Engineering about this and decided this has met my needs. I needed a low profile antenna. And this is a butternut 6-band. So at the base here is all the tuning circuits for some of the bands, so capacitors and inductors. And starting above this fence, which separates my front and backyard, the only thing up there is a thin aluminum tube that goes up and up and disappears into a tree. And there is actually another wire up there for 15 meters that's coupled to the tube, but you can't see it. I painted the tube a dull green color, so it's barely visible. And as a ham in the neighborhood said, this just looks like another one of my metal sculptures that I got around. So it's 26 feet tall. It does 10 meters, 15, 20, 30, 40, and 80 meters. And the base, I bought a radial plate that's almost covered up by pine needles now. And attached to that is 16 radials. And the shortest radial goes to that side of the fence, which is my lot line, and is 5.5 feet. And probably the next shortest radial goes over to my house, which is about 7.5 feet away. And we can't really see the front yard except through the slats there. But going into the front yard and going into the backyard, which is this direction, is radials that can get up to about 60 feet long. And some of the other radials that go up to the fence or go up to my porch are shorter. So I have 16 of the radials. The 17th radial is actually the shield of the coax. So those coax comes with the antenna, and that's a 75 ohm specific length coax to match the 20 meter part of the antenna. So 75 ohm coax, and the outside of the shield will also be connected to the grounding there and act as a radial. So 17 radials, including the coax. And the coax goes down to this flower pot. The flower pot covers up the top of an 8-foot long ground rod, along with some lightning suppressors under there. And the other coax happens to go up to a J-pole. Sorry for the reflections of the sun on the day, but that's the base of a J-pole that I use for UHF and VHF. And there's coax then coming out from the flower pot and goes up to that window right there, and it's covered up by a bush right now, but right before the window is some clamp-on ferrite beads, mix 31, to stop the radial, i.e. stop anything on the shield of the coax from going into the shack. So that's the end of the radial part of the shield with those snap-on beads. And I just have a board in the window with some holes drilled in it that the coax passes through. So that's my 6-band HF antenna. Now let's go in and see how it connects to a radio and how it works. So we walk into my dining room, and here's my radio system, so this is my radio. It's an ICOM 746. If we get close, you can see the dial. We're at 2.5 megahertz AM right now, which is WWV at 120 meters. Now, I don't have a 120 meter antenna, but I have WWV in memory, so I can just flip through on my memory knob right here. This WWV on 60 meters, 30 meters, 19 meters, 15 meters, and that's the WWV. So we're picking up 19 meters, so it means 20 meter AM is open for me. On top of the radio is an automatic antenna tuner, and it operates with one button, and I have it off almost all the time. And off is a bypass mode, so if I push this briefly, I should get 3 very fast green blips, or maybe 1. That indicates it's off. And the green light has a whole bunch of meanings, so I've taped on top what all the things are that the green light indicates. So I have an antenna tuner, and I use that for 80 meters if I have to move away from the spot that the antenna is tuned to. Let's see, I also have a power meter right here, a Meritron cross needle. And I use that for my FT8 work and Whisper, weak signal propagation reporter. So for weak signals, I go for transmit power of 5 watts, which is actually the first little indicator. The smallest reading I can really get is 5 watts. On Whisper, I'd probably prefer to use less than 5 watts, but there's no way I'd be able to adjust this radio or measure it with this power meter at below 5 watts. You know, I'd need a QRP radio to do that, or maybe a Raspberry Pi transmitter. But I use that, and most often on weak signal software, I use around 20 watts. But if my signal needs to go somewhere either shorter or further than 2,000 kilometers, then I turn the power up a little bit. The thing with the red light is my power supply that came with the radio. So that's an ICOM power supply. And if I didn't mention it, that's an ICOM 746 Pro radio. So about a 30 amp, 12 or 13 volt power supply. Below that is my signal link. That connects to my computer so I can do digital work. And it handles the push to talk features and so forth. And the signal link has USB into the computer, and it has a data cable that goes into the back of the radio. So in that case, I put the radio into digital mode rather than phone or sideband type modes. And that cable right there is a CAT cable and computer aided transmitter. So if I want to connect the computer to the radio and have the computer control the band and so forth, then I just use that cable. So about the only other thing really to show you is the computer part of it. So if we go to memories, if we go to FT8, don't hear anything on 10 meters right now. 15 is even quiet, unusual. But 20 meters is pretty loud. So I just use a small laptop here, and this is my weak signal software. So you can see it right now. It'll be decoding FT8, and if I take my mouse, I can reply to the people that are green, which is CQ. And that is my low profile HF station, which I'm very happy with. Very hard to see that antenna from a sidewalk or the walking path in the backyard. The radio is just a wonderful radio I've had for more than 10 years. That just does an awful lot of tricks and works just really well. Very happy with this station. So thank you for touring my low profile, rather low key radio station that works just fabulous. Thank you. Bye.